Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Master RKO, and today we're bringing you a brand new video. Today we're going to be checking out the most recent patch notes that were brought by Treyarch over the last couple days. We're going to be going over a few of them, just the ones that are going to be affecting our league play experience and our multiplayer experience. They're a bit extensive, so we're going to be going over them pretty quick. If you do want to link to them while we're going over them, it'll be in the description. We're just going to have a little bit of gameplay going on in the background that we're going to be swapping through over these because it's so long in case you wanted some entertainment. So, first of all, the one thing they're going to be going over is the spawns. They're going to be affecting some of the spawn logic and placements for a couple maps just to make sure, at least once the CWL kicks off and league play gets brought in, that those will be working properly. The maps that they're focusing on is going to be Summit, Firing Range, Frequency, Arsenal, and Icebreaker. They're going to be working on some of those spawn points, as well as making sure that spawn swaps and everything are working fluently there. Another thing they're going to be working on is the weapons. Most of the balance has been pretty decent on some of the weapons. However, they're wanting to make sure that assault rifles are the go-to weapons in this game. But they did want to at least tune the submachine guns a little bit. From what we've been hearing from them, submachine guns have been a little bit less viable than what they've wanted them to be. So they're going to be tuning the assault rifles and submachine guns to be a little more equal to one another, or at least usable for those run and gun types of playstyles. And finally, for specialists, they're wanting to tune some of those just to make sure that they're going to be working properly, as well as making some more useful than others and some more of a risk-reward kind of thing. Specifically, higher impact weapons like Ajax Ballistic Shield getting toned down a little bit over some of the other consistent equipments, and tuning down some of like Recon's Dart, just as some examples. But we're going to go ahead and dive right into the rest of them and get more specific. So starting out with the main multiplayer features, with the recent patch, they've added Gun Game, Mercenary Deathmatch, and Chaos Domination, as well as they've increased the Hardcore TDM and Kill Confirmed player count to 6v6, and making it two specialist limit per team. That's just affecting some of the pub matches and making things a little more interesting on that side of things. As we get more into the actual patch notes, stuff like that, we're looking more into assault rifles. Getting into those, they're dialing back some of the previous buffs on some of the assault rifles to make them a little less effective against SMGs, or to just make SMGs a little more effective. Specifically, the ICR, they've reduced the headshot damage on, and a slight reduction to reload speed on it. The Vapor has reduced close range headshot damage. The damage now falls off sooner, and High Caliber has reduced headshot multiplier, eliminating the possibility of a 3-hit kill. Now, after playing a little bit on this patch, I have kind of noticed that there hasn't been too much of a difference with the Vapor. Maybe it'll take a few days or a week to get into effect for the PlayStation and Xboxes for the difference there, but as of right now, I haven't noticed too much of a difference on the Vapor when running, at least when running Rapid Fire. Going into the submachine guns, they're wanting to make those a little more viable, making the run and gun strategy a little more effective, and balancing them to make them more effective towards assault rifles. The MX9, they've extended all damage range on it, and making High Caliber a reduced headshot multiplier, eliminating 4-hit kills on the MX9. The Cordite, they've also extended damage and damage ranges on, and for the belt feed operator, they've increased the overheat rate, so you can use the belt feed modifier a little bit longer on that sense. The GKS, the quad shot, has a slight increase in time between bursts. And the SOG 9mm, the hip fire accuracy has been reduced a little bit on the dual wielding SOGs. So just to get a little bit of tuning on those as well. I have noticed the SOGs are still pretty effective if you can get close enough, but you're not going to be laser rifling them all over the place. As we get more into the tactical rifles, the ABR has had an extended maximum range. Its operator mod now takes longer in its acceleration, The stock has had a slight reduction in movement speed bonus, and the laser sight and sight 2 has improved hip fire on the ABR. So that would explain a lot on why I have been seeing more hip fire ABR, stuff like that, and it's been slightly annoying. But, it makes some of these tactical rifles a little more useful, which is nice. As we move forward, the Swordfish has reduced headshot multiplier, eliminating its 3-shot kill, and the Pentaburst has a reduced extra clip granted. So I believe the Pentafire had an extra clip for another burst. They've taken that away. So the Pentaburst will now have less ammo, but it will still be pretty useful in the long run, at least. However, with that being said, we also have, going into the sniper rifles, one of the big problems that's been going on with the sniper rifles is the Paladin's pretty much been king. Everybody's been wanting to either use the Paladin or you're finding yourself fighting against one. So this patch is being more to tune the rest of the sniper rifles to deal with the Paladin and to get more effectiveness on it, at least. So the Paladin has now have a, for high caliber 2, hitting lower torso on a full TAC 5 boosted enemy, meaning with the whole 200 health, will no longer be a one-hit kill. Its FMJ2 attachment now has improved damage against score streaks, and its Stabilizer 2 attachment, a player can now hold their breath sooner after previous. So you'll be able to hold your breath quicker with Stabilizer 2. You'll have increased damage against score streaks, and the high caliber 2 on that will just not do full damage. As we get further into that, the Outlaw has an improved base damage from 110 to 130. Its idle sway has been reduced. The base movement has been increased with it, and the stock now has a slight increase in aim down sight movement speed bonus. So you'll move faster when aiming down sight, and its base damage has been increased. So if you want to try a different sniper rifle, or you feel like you'd be able to get one in a little better use, try using the Outlaw. It's been upped a little bit. The SDM has an increased clip size from 10 to 12, and its idle sway has been reduced. That's all that's been increased for that. And the Koshka has an increased damage from 120 to 140, and its stock now also has an increased aim down sight movement speed bonus. So that should be definitely fun for those who like to use the Koshka. It's going to do a little bit more damage than the Outlaw, and I feel like it's going to be more of the main used sniper rifle. I've been using it a lot recently, especially because its base sight has been a lot better than the Paladin, in my opinion. Moving into light machine guns, most of those have been tuned. You won't see them too much in league play, but looks like for most of them, they've either reduced headshot damage, hip fire accuracy, they've reduced speed movement with stocks. With the VKM, the Fat Barrel mod, it's reduced bullet tracer size, so that's good at least. The Crossbar Operator mod for the Hades has reduced movement speed accuracy, and the Steady Grip has improved recoil mitigation, so it's going to be a little bit, at least, easier to shoot while you're using that. Just for the pistols, the RK7 is the only one that's been changed at all. It's got a slight increase in time between bursts, so the bursts won't be as fast, and it's had a slight reduction to reload speed, so you'll be able to reload that a little bit quicker. Shotguns, the MOG 12 has had its choked barrel is now a one-hit kill range. That range, though, has been reduced. And the strobe light operator for the SG-12, there was an issue where the strobe light would remain on after death, so that was just a bug fix. And there's going to be a live update coming soon to reduce the range in which the strobe light interferes with enemies. So they're going to reduce the range on the strobe light for that gun at least. So that's good. That won't be shining in your face. As we move on to attachments, the Grip 2 has had reduced ADS flinch mitigation, so if you're still using Grip 2, you'll notice that it's not going to be a complete laser rifle, although in the ACR that may not be changed, but it is banned from competitive play, so you won't need to worry about that too much. The suppressor has had reduced damage fall-off range, so the suppressor will be a little bit more viable to use now. Reduced damage fall-off ranges. Actually, I'm trying to think if that would help or hurt, because if you're reducing the fall off range, actually I think that means the suppressors are going to be less usable because they're going to reduce those ranges. That is my bad. The holographic sight has had a reduced ADS recoil. Same for the dual zoom optic, the recon optic as well. The ELO has had an increased aim down sight recoil, so ELOs aren't going to be as steady. The rest of them have had a reduced recoil. Here's where we get into some of the real fun. The specialist. Now this is going to be a second, so grab a drink and strap in. For Ajax, they're improving strategic options for counteracting the ballistic shield. Explosives now aptly partially damage to the front of a deployed ballistic shield user, and the ballistic shield now takes longer to earn. On Nomad, they were looking close at the canine unit to maximize its effectiveness, therefore they are reducing the canine unit health by 10%. However, they're probably going to be looking into more uses for that, probably more like a range or just lasting longer. Crash, they're wanting to give him a little more effectiveness. He's been pretty popular recently, but they've seen that he's been a bit too effective towards score streaks, so they've reduced the teammate pack use score from 50 to 25, so you will now not get so much of a bonus when somebody uses your team pack because of the score streak excessiveness, at least. Moving on to Firebreak, the Purifier, they've been bringing back, and they're wanting to make sure that it's even more effective. Therefore, the damage from a Purifier is guaranteed to eventually kill the player if they don't have a tac mask. So, for that, the Firebreak is guaranteed to kill from here on out. The Recon, they were wanting to balance out a little bit more. A lot of people have been using it. However, they're reclassifying some of the sources, especially because it seemed like at least on a few of the abilities that he had, they were either lasting too long or doing some weird things with bugs. So therefore, for Recon, they've reduced the sensor dart duration, and they've resolved an issue where the voiceover would incorrectly state when a sensor dart was destroyed. So I guess they had some bugs to where even if the sensor dart wasn't properly destroyed, some people would still say that it was, which is kind of weird. Going into Torque, there were a lot of people that were basically wanting Torque banned. His playstyle is kind of weird, and there's certain things about him that people just didn't want to use. Therefore, they've increased the rate in which you earn the barricade. The hit points for the barricade now has has been increased. And there was an issue to where the TACCOM would not tell a player that the barricade was taking damage. So basically the communication through the game. So they had an issue to where if the barricade was getting shot, you just wouldn't know it. Whereas before, they're basically wanting you to know that the barricade is taking damage. Going on to Prophet's Tempest definitely needed an upgrade. He was kind of struggling against other specialists. Really, his recon drone was the only thing that was really, or the little drone was the only thing really people were happy to use. Therefore, the projectile speed on the Tempest has been increased. They've slightly increased the distance on his chain, and they resolved an issue to where being hit by the Tempest would disable the charge from further arcing. So there was actually a bug to where you would hit one person with a Tempest and it wouldn't chain. That has been fixed. As we look into some of the spawns, I'm just going to go over the ones for the League Play game types or the CWL game types. There's been a lot of them that have been changed for the rest of them. If you want to go over those in your spare time, you can. For Hardpoint, they've tuned the spawn logic for a lot of the spawn points. They are making the spawn points more predictable for Hardpoint, so learning the spawns is now going to be possible. And they've added some global spawning adjustments as well, making the ability to anchor and hardpoints possible. So hopefully, if you're playing a lot of hardpoint, you shouldn't have people randomly spawning behind you if you're anchoring for your team. And there's been a few spawn adjustments for both seaside and frequency just on the map alone. And for control, they've also made a few adjustments for slums, summit, militia, and firing range for those spawns as well. Whew, we're getting into it. We're almost done, almost done. Going on to the gear, the stem shot has had an increased time to fully heal a player, so if you've noticed that the heal time for the stem shot has been taking a little longer than normal, that is why. I think it's more where it's not just fully healing people. It's gotten now to the point where it's almost taking the same amount of time to heal as it would if you were in an older game. There's an armor where they resolved an issue where armor protected from more damage than intended when hitting areas of the body that have damage multipliers. So, for instance, if you're hitting people in the chest, the head, those have been changed, especially for snipers with high caliber and other weapons that have specific multipliers, stuff like that. That has been changed, so armor will not do as much damage reduction to certain areas. And the acoustic sensor, they have reduced the range on that when enemies are sprinting. So basically, acoustic was mainly just for people that are walking, so that way you can specifically find them. If you're sprinting, they're going to be a little bit harder to find. Moving down to perks, Dead Silence has a reduced player movement volume and distance that players equipped with Dead Silence can be heard. This is intended for Dead Silence to not be completely silent still, but allows enemies that are not actively listening, having acoustic, or in a specific area can hear you. So Dead Silence will be completely silent at certain areas, but you will still be able to hear them if they're up close with you. And for Engineer, the extracting helicopter and heist will no longer be highlighted by the enemy with the Engineer perk. So a lot of people were using the Engineer perk and buying that in heist so they could see where the helicopter was in the game type before it was even in the game, so that has been fixed. Moving over to score streaks, they resolved an area where a bug where the mantis could be destroyed by touching the out of bounds area on the map. So apparently it will stay out of bounds if you're there. That's interesting. The dart has an increased exploding radius, and the players can now use a second dart when earning 2 dart score streaks, so those will double up. And the strike team prevented strike team kills from contributing toward owner's kills without dying medals. So they had a bug where the strike team was getting bloodthirsties. A few of the other ones I'm blanking on what they are right now. So basically, you cannot earn your bloodthirsty medals with a strike team now. Moving down to the final few, we go to gameplay. This is just overall. They've reduced damage, reduced ranges required for long shots on assault rifles, tac rifles, submachine guns, and light machine guns. So if you're going for those long shots, they've reduced the range in which those are required. They resolved an issue to where the hard stop challenge would reset before reaching 300. They resolved an issue to where the Marksman Mastery Challenge would not give 10,000 XP upon completion. That's been fixed. They resolved an issue where destroying friendly score streaks would award score. So basically, if you took like a Hellstorm and hit a friendly attack chopper, you would get score for destroying it. And players could no longer crouch or go prone while performing a gesture. There was just some bugs with that. Game modes. There's increased XP for heist that you earn. Increased amount of XP per kill and free for all. They resolved an issue where hardcore wins would not go towards the challenge. Resolved an issue where in free for all where recon players could receive vision pulsed assist scores. So they had an issue where if you were actually playing free for all and someone had a recon they vision pulsed, you would still get an assist for everybody's kills, not just your own. And the silent plant option in custom games should now make planting and defusing bombs completely silent. Now, I do believe that option is off for League play and stuff like that. I can't quite remember. But I do know that there were a few of those that I don't know if they're going to keep that rule in or not, but I know silent plants have definitely been taken out as of right now for like CW stuff like that, which makes sense. Just going over some of the maps, Icebreaker. They moved a piece of cover for spawn camping. Not sure which one that is. They also added cover to the lower respawn side. On slums, they adjusted some cover to discourage spawn camping on a few of the sides, and just overall, several maps have had some exploits that they have now fixed. Other than that, I think that is it. They've done some things for theater, and I know for those who don't know, if you've had any saved theater games, those have all been removed. Mainly because there was a big bug to where if you were playing one of those games, it would basically corrupt a lot of your stuff. So they've removed all of those because they were on an old, basically like an old file system. So that has officially been changed. So for that, I think that is going to do it for this video specifically. We're going to go and hop back to the main menu as we finish this. Let me go over these notes real quick. Yeah, that is going to be it. So that is everything for the extent of the patch notes for now. I'm sure there will be more that will be introduced throughout the rest of at least this month or maybe next month. There's been rumors that League Play is going to be coming out in December. That has not been confirmed yet, so we're still waiting on that. Hopefully that comes soon. And if any of you guys have seen anything new, there's the Black Market that's been out. They've added a few more game types. They've added the Halloween events, stuff like that. So they've been keeping up actively, and they've been listening to the community. So hopefully, especially with the CWL coming up soon, and with League Play coming out soon, they listen a little more to some of the gripes that the community has, and they make some changes before League Play and the Pro League comes out. But for that is going to end everything here. So if you had any questions for me, leave them in the comments. I can answer some about the upcoming stuff, or just go over a few of the patch notes a little bit more. If you like this video and it was informative, leave a like. And if you want to see more of this, subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing more updates as it comes along. If you want to learn anything else or just enjoy learning about the new game and getting ready for League Play, check out some of my older videos. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Adios.